want to reflect with you on an experience that I had a few years ago with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. They convened a large panel of experts, researchers, epidemiologists, and program people who were working in various areas of global health, reproductive health, tuberculosis, malaria, and others. And they convened this group around what they called the Global Diagnostics Forum. And their intent was to try to define the diagnostic test characteristics that would be the holy grail of diagnostic technologies. I think with the implicit aim of being able to steer their financing to what would be the perfect diagnostic to have maximum impact on public health. They brought in fantastic modelers from the RAND group out of California, and we spent a year and a half poring over data sets and exploring. And at the end of it all, I want to read you what was a conclusion of that report. We did find many interesting things as it pertained to test characteristics, but this is a summary from one of the articles that came out in Nature. Gains from new tests increased roughly in proportion with access to testing. It's all about the access. If we can't get the tools out to people, available, affordable, accessible, they will not have gains in public health. And so it's with this as the backdrop that I started my work at AID and believe that this is where USAID can really thrive. So the 3 points I want to talk to you about today are what is USAID doing, what's the role of USAID in research, and how is USAID well positioned to think about these questions of access and getting new tools out and informing decisions around new tools. And I want to talk to you then about what is often referred to as retooling, getting countries ready for the new tools that we are all working so feverishly to attain. And then finally, I want to talk about PPPs. So first in terms of USAID, I think most of you are aware, USAID works in over 100 countries in support of development aims. We work in global health, the whole continuum, from supporting community-based programs through work on policy development. We work in support of better regulatory frameworks, better drug procurement systems, and on policy at national level and global level. So what this brings to the world of research and new technology development is access to the countries. And that's important on 2 fronts. It's important because we're able to feed to the research communities the true priorities from the field. What are the requirements of the field for a test to be in it? And Niels highlighted exactly the types of constraints that we have to think about and overcome if we're really going to bring in tools that are appropriate from the field. And also in terms of burden of disease, we have access to those populations. And then of course, when tools are at a stage where we can try them out in the field, USAID is working with the populations that need access to these tools. We can work on rapid introduction and scale up through our policy mechanisms, through our implementation programs, once new tools are ready to really be rolled out at the field level. So I asked my colleagues in AID that work on different research to give me the highlights of some of the things that they're working on. And I just wanted to give you a spattering of examples so that people are fully aware of the breadth and the depth of USAID's investments in research and technology. So I think it's already been mentioned that USAID has invested in safe, effective, and acceptable microbicides to prevent HIV transmission and HIV infection. We've worked for many years on new medicines for malaria, with contributions to the first of its kind childhood pediatric formulation that came out in January 2009. We worked on malaria vaccines for over a decade, including contributions to one of the most clinically advanced malaria vaccines, the RTSS. We have worked on trying to translate research innovations into applicable technologies. So the injection device Uniject is one of the kind of adaptations of the technology that USAID supported. In the world of HIV and AIDS, we've been solid supporters of the International AIDS Vaccine Initiative. And I have a colleague here today who has specific questions about our contributions. She can give us more information. On TB, as Maria mentioned, we are currently supporting the advancement of 4 TB compounds compounds, potential additions to TB regimens that are in late-stage trials. We also have picked up, this is where our field presence has really borne fruit, we picked up on a Bangladesh 9-month treatment regimen for MDR-TB, which compares to the current standard of 18 or 24 months. We saw that it was as effective as the 18 to 24-month regimen, and now we're going to try it in numerous countries and see if we can reduce the treatment time for TB. As we get into new areas like neglected tropical diseases, we're really looking forward to defining a research agenda that will support our programs. Our principle at USAID is obviously our real comparative advantage is in supporting ministries of health, governments, and the people of developing countries through our programming. So we really look to supporting particularly the late-stage research that can influence our programming, can strengthen our programming, and improve public health in the near term. So we really focus on the later stage development work and filling gaps where there seems to be really innovative ideas that somehow slip through other funding cracks. We see it as our niche to try to step in those areas where we clearly see the public health benefit. Then I want to move just quickly to this notion of retooling. I think we all are very aware of new drugs, diagnostics, vaccines, or approaches that we've spent years laboring over their development, their clinical trials, the creation of global policy to endorse them, and then they sit on the shelves when they don't get out to the people that need them, and it takes years and years. And in many cases, it's because we haven't prepared the field. We haven't engaged with the developing country counterparts, with their regulatory frameworks, with their policy instruments, with their stakeholders, with the donors, to make sure that everything is in place for these new tools to roll out really quickly. So I know that many of the PDPs, many of them present here, have been absolute leaders in the global alliances, one, ARIS, and many of them have recognized that new tools are coming. This is really exciting. New tools have been introduced in recent years. More new tools are coming. We have to work with the countries to ensure that we have rapid scale up. Within the TB community, as was mentioned, I chair a group that's focused exclusively on this, bringing together the research community and the countries and figuring out what is it that needs to happen to bridge this gap in this potential delay. And so we're working feverishly on that. The final point that I wanted to raise is regarding the product development partnerships. That within USA we are investing in a number of these PDPs, and we really see the immense potential that the PDPs have brought in correcting for some of the market failures, really building momentum around product development. And what I wanted to acknowledge very publicly is we're hearing from a lot of you that the new paradigm, the PDP paradigm, is a difficult one. It's not a clear match with the way that the U.S. government always funds. And it's something that my colleagues at NIH and CDC and USAID were very committed to working together across U.S. agencies and with you, and then hopefully eventually with the Hill, to address this challenge of making sure that we are able to fund this really innovative model and move products through the pipeline. It's often, we recognize it's often the case that it's not necessarily about advancing the science that might be relevant to NIH. It's not necessarily at the stage where it's going to influence our programming in the very near term. There are some gaps there that we really need to address because we all see the value in these models, in correcting for the market efficiencies and moving things along. So this is something I just wanted to express our very sincere commitment to be working within the USG to address these financing gaps and to see how we can best support your efforts along the full continuum of research and development. Thank you.